Hey, what is up everybody? I'm Jason and you're watching my channel, Micro Investors. So in this video, we're going to be talking about ARK's Space Exploration ETF, ticker symbol ARKX. Now I mentioned before that ARK was going to be releasing their own Space Exploration ETF, and now it is true. It is now official that they have one. And the holdings within it are a bit of a surprise because not everything in there are actually in my space watch list. I would have thought that that there would have been more stocks specifically geared towards space within it, but not all of them are. And I want to talk about what the top holdings of it are, show you guys all the holdings, but talk about the specific top holdings and which ones they find that is surprising that she has them, and just show my watch list as well, show you what I'm keeping track of in the whole space. Anyways, as we get to it, if you guys don't mind, please do me a huge favor and please be sure to smash, destroy, and annihilate that like button, because as you know, that does help me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm and it helps spread my videos to more people that might find them interesting. Also subscribe if you have not already, and if you are interested in being a Patreon, I would greatly appreciate it. I do have one, link is in the description, and I have a private Discord attached to that. Thank you to all the Patreons. Anyways, now let's get to it. So ARKX has exposure to space exploration, including orbital and suborbital aerospace, enabling technologies and beneficiaries of aerospace activities such as agriculture, internet access, global positioning system, construction, and imaging. So these are the holdings within the ETF, and this is as of March 26, 2021. The ETF hits the market on March 30th. 2021, so these could easily change since it is an active managed ETF, but this is what we currently have information on. Now, Trimble Incorporated is the number one largest holding in this ETF, and it has 8.5% of the total weight. Now, Trimble is one that I'm not surprised would be one of the larger holdings within the ETF, because what this company does is they keep track of information and help analyze information that has to do with helping with agriculture, construction, forestry, geospatial, government, military and defense, oil and gas, rail, transportation, and utilities. So I'm not surprised. I mentioned this one before in a video that I'd made about a month ago when I talked about possible companies that would be within this ETF, and this was one of them. Now, the second largest holding in this ETF is another ETF. It's the 3D printing ETF, and that's ARK's own 3D printing ETF, ticker symbol PRNT. Now that makes sense why that would be on there, because 3D printing has a whole lot to do with building parts for space exploration, because these aren't things that are going to be mass produced or something that's going to have to be made on the fly. But especially if if we're talking about space travel or having to repair parts in space, finding out something that's wrong with something, if that's going to be needing to have repairs, it's not like that it can be ordered and made back on Earth and then shipped back up. That is going to be something that is going to have to be made on the fly, and a 3D printing does make sense to do that right on the fly, make that part, and switch it out and repair it. So 3D printing is going to be an industry that's going to have a whole lot to do with space exploration, but there are other stocks on here that might not make as much sense. Like, say, for example, JD.com, which is a online retailer in China. They have physical locations as well, and an industry where they're growing a bit in is drone deliveries, and that deals with GPS and such to make those deliveries, but that's still just a very small portion of the entire company when their main business that you're investing into is actual e-commerce. So it doesn't really make sense why they would be more of a top holding over, say, someone like Lockheed Martin or Boeing. And same with John Deere as well, because a very, very small portion of John Deere's business even deals with GPS systems inside of their machinery. And I know they're getting into autonomous driving and such for some of their larger commercial vessels, but a lot of their business comes from their much smaller units, which produce majority of all their revenues, and I'm talking about less than 1% comes from anything that could be related to anything space exploration. So that doesn't really make sense why it would be maybe even in this list, because so little of it even has to do with it. And we can even say the same thing about Amazon, which they want to get into their whole drone deliveries as well, like JD does, but that's something that they're having a hard time being able to do. And we know Bezos has his own projects with Blue Origin, but that's unrelated to Amazon. Google, same thing. Their revenues come from advertising and such. That's the majority of their business. And I know they want to grow out more of a bigger internet system and using space for that. But still, that's something that doesn't exist yet. And it's going to be a very small portion of their business, I would assume. And other ones on here saying like Netflix. Now, I get it. Netflix can benefit from space, from the space industry. If the internet systems were to grow and more people were going to have internet, that could help make Netflix more money. But at the same time, places that don't have internet probably don't have the money to even afford to have Netflix. So that's another thing that doesn't really make sense. Even for Workhorse, I get it. They also have a drone delivery system, but Workhorse hasn't really delivered on a whole lot of anything at all yet, and so the company has its own issues right now. So that also doesn't make sense why it's on here. I mean, I like Workhorse, but it doesn't really make sense as a space play. And there's other ones on here as well, some that should be much higher up on this list in my personal opinion. Now, my space watch list, I would have thought we would have seen just about, or all these on there, obviously besides probably the SPACs, because they're still waiting to merge and complete that merger, like say NPA, which is going to be becoming Space Mobile, SRAC, which is going to become Momentus, and VACQ, which is going to become Rocket Lab. Now, I understand why these three aren't on there, and they probably will be eventually. These will be pretty big space stock plays, in my opinion. We did see Virgin Galactic on there. We saw Iridium on there, but we didn't see Galat on there. We didn't see Viasat on there. We didn't see Maxar Technologies. We didn't see Orbcomm Incorporated. We didn't see Laurel on there. We did see, we saw Trimble on there, but we didn't see a good amount of these ones that I would have thought would have been large space holdings. And as you can see, their stocks didn't really do that well. Now, more than likely, we might see the 5 that I mentioned that are not in there, probably in that ETF at some point in time. It is an active managed ETF, and Kathy Woods is pretty good about picking holdings within her ETFs, but at the moment there's 39 holdings within that ETF, and it just would have been really nice to see. Would have been nice to see, Orbcomm, Laurel Communications, Maxar Technologies, and such within this list. But yeah, 39 holdings in this ETF, and it just would have been nice to see some of those being replaced with companies that are more pure play space companies that deal with space exploration or satellites, stuff like that. Just maybe not so much focusing on companies like Netflix, Workhorse, Amazon, Google. But then again, I understand where she's trying to cater to everybody. So we'll see what the future has on hold. But if anything, it did create a pretty good buying opportunity, in my opinion, for the ones that are down that didn't make it in the ETF. Those did drop pretty good percentages with the announcement of what is inside of that space ETF. So it could create a better buying opportunity. And who knows, tomorrow things could change. Who knows what's going to happen within Ark Invest. So anyways, everybody, I'd like to hear your opinions about Ark's ETF ARKX, and is there anybody that is going to be invested into it? Please let me know. So as always, everybody, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. New videos coming out on my channel all the time. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video coming very soon.